Welcome to Minneapolis. Welcome to the Alliance's National Conference. I have to say, I think we've really kicked it up a notch. And I want to ask Molly, we call her now Mollyopolis, I guess it would be. In the planning committee, you just did a phenomenal job, knocked it out of the park, and thank you very much for that work. I also want to recognize all of the board members that I know have attended this conference from our various boards across our companies, but also, most importantly, I love it when we have board members from our member agencies that come. So our board members who are providing governance for us, as well as our board members providing voluntary governance, one of the best things of our sector, providing voluntary governance for our agencies. Would you please stand to be recognized? And one of the things I also want to ask you to do is, I know they're not in the room today, but oftentimes we forget that a conference like this, without the wonderful hotel staff, the folks that work hard day in and day out to provide us such a level of customer service and care. I hope you'll take time while you're here to thank them for the work they do, thank them for their commitment to excellence. Those are very hard jobs. I grew up in the restaurant business, I know, but please thank them as well. So here is your team. Here is the wonderful team that when I came back as COO in 2012, I looked at them all and I said, will you join me in leadership? The world is changing very fast. We too have to change as a national organization. Will you be open to that change? And will you be as passionate as I am every single day for what it is we ultimately exist for? That is to strengthen communities, to help more children, families, and adults live with health and prosperity through the power of this incredible network that we have the honor to serve. And I'd like to just thank all of the staff that are here from across Families International. I thank you for joining me in leadership. I thank you for your passion for our mission. Thank you. So folks, why are we here? Why are we here? Not why are we here in this ballroom in Minneapolis. Rather, why are we here as the nonprofit, charitable, empowering, community-based sector that we are, the organizations that are here today. We cannot simply be defined by the plethora of programs and services that we provide under contract with others, but rather we are defined by what we achieve. And we are defined by the differentiating way that we do our work. We are the glue that brings a community together to embrace the inclusiveness, connectedness, and the shared responsibility we have for our neighbors. It's being the inheritors of this great nonprofit charitable tradition that we are all sharing of being mission and values driven, community and neighborhood oriented, and never, ever, as hard as it gets, losing our head and heart connection as leaders for why we are called to do this work. This field, this sector, this movement, folks, this is our time. If we are led in all things, I believe, by this fundamental purpose of our values, if we see and seize ambiguity, and we feel it as a gift that sparks our imagination, the energy, the optimism within us can be rekindled every day. And even in these seas of rapid change, the opportunities now, more than ever, to be impactful in the ways in which we lead, serve, secure resources, partner, and advocate, I believe, become more clear. And just as you are leaning forward into the headwinds of today and continuously repositioning yourself for the future, the Alliance is as well. If I could boil it down, just boil it down to one thing that can both keep me up at night and get me up with vast energy in the morning. Believe that? It's that we are here as a national organization to unleash the power of America's nonprofit human-serving sector through all of you. This year, we revised our vision mission, and purpose statement to give us clarity and focus, and our vision and mission to strengthen the capacities and influence of our national network of nonprofit human-serving organizations so that together, we may pursue our vision of a healthy society and strong communities for all children and families. This new mission equips us to unleash our larger purpose through the power of this network, to partner for impact, to make sure that together we are achieving influence, and together driving innovation. This next slide is something that I get a kick out of, because if the staff know one thing when they're in my office, I keep saying, look above my desk, and someday I'm going to have an electronic screen up there, and I'm going to have a remote control, and I'm going to be able to click it in real time, show all the ways that we are networking this great network together, because that truly is the power of you. So what I want to do for you today is depict to you the vastness of this network. All of our agencies peppered around the country, and this is only the agencies, their headquarters. Where you exist across the country is much larger than your headquarters. Our Strategy Count Initiative pilot sites, the work that they're doing to drive strategy through their organizations and through our sector. Our Resource Development Services Advisory Committee doing a wonderful job in helping our agencies to go to that next level in their fund development capabilities. You also have our Complex Organizations Networking Group that is an amazing camaraderie of executives in our network who have each other's back and are supporting each other. And also what you have is our Health Policy Work Group, something that I think is just doing a wonderful job in helping our members to know, and I believe this, healthcare reform will be our major disruptive force in this decade and beyond. So it is all about the power of network. It's about this vibrant, powerful, and influential network, and folks, we have to do even more to unleash this power. So I hope you will think about ways that you want to get connected to the networks we have. This was only a few of them, but also help us create more. The favorite part of my job, and you all know this when you get the emails from me, the favorite part of my job is when I connect one agency here with one agency here, because I believe you're going to help one another. That truly is our power. But something also very exciting is happening for us, and that's with the United Neighborhood Centers of America. When UNCA and the Alliance affiliated back in 2006, and I helped Peter Goldberg negotiate that agreement, we saw a long history of connectedness between our organizations. It began in 2011 when both organizations were formed with a similar spirit of authentic resident and community engagement values and a commitment to progressive social change, anchored in our understanding that advocacy is core to our being and our DNA. Symbolized through the life of Jane Addams, walking the streets of Chicago around Hall House, a woman who gained inspiration from her father's friend Abraham Lincoln, who believed in the equality of all people. So we are excited because she understood that the well-being of a community is only possible when there is equity for all neighbors within it. I am thrilled to let you know that we are becoming one powerful national network, and we are launching a center on engagement and neighborhood building within the Alliance. So our two national networks become one. And I want to say to the United Neighborhood Centers of America members that are here who voted unanimously for us to become one network, and for their board of directors who showed a level of leadership that I have not seen in a very long time, when mission was put first. And they realized that as a national association, they were going to accelerate this movement further when we came together as one network, and we launched and accelerated the work of Jane Addams, the work of engagement. Folks, I truly do believe all my years of public service, nonprofit service, trying to make programs and services within larger failed systems work, whether it's in juvenile justice, child welfare, developmental disabilities, aging, long-term care, it doesn't matter. For change to be durable, the fuel must be internal and organic, and it must come from the inside out. whether it's for the individual, the family, or the neighborhood. And this center within the Alliance, focused on engagement and neighborhood building, is going to equip you with the resources and the skills and the capacities that we need as organizations to bring those values to life. To United Neighborhood Centers of America, welcome. We are one powerful national network. So what are the commitments of high-impact organizations? And we believe that it is in these commitments of high-impact organizations that they are the key to equipping you with the knowledge, networking, and solutions necessary in this fast-changing world to achieve your missions and the collective impact that we are all trying to achieve in this great nation. Utilizing over 100 years of experience that we have as a national organization, the vast learning that we've had through our Strategy Counts program, our Disruptive Forces report that has just been amazing in terms of the reach that it has had nationally across sectors. And it has proven that organizations cannot lead through disruptive change haphazardly. It is about the capacities that organizations have and our steadfast way that we not only develop them, but build them, change them, sustain them. Through a deep review of literature and research, through including many of our members in so many ways that they helped us to understand what are the commitments of high-impact organizations. We can talk about it. Everyone's talking about impact. But how do you do it? And how does a nonprofit human-serving organization like all of yours possess the types of capacities that are necessary for that to happen? You have a handout on your tables that outlines the commitments of high-impact organizations. It outlines what we believe are the definitions of high-impact organizations. But what we are very jazzed up about at the Alliance is it gives us a sense of clarity and focus and alignment that you're going to see us doing like never before, in making sure that every experience you have with us, every opportunity we provide, is giving you opportunities to partner with us to promote your mastery, your proficiency, and measurement of these capacities. Because for your organizations to realize their full potential, these are the commitments that are necessary for highest performance. But that won't be enough. It won't be enough for us to help you have those commitments of high-impact organizations, because we know that a big part of this is we've got to help propel your resource engine. Now, I know you want to think, ooh, that must mean money. And please don't forget that over the last 3 years, we have distributed over $7 million in our network through payments and grants. But it does take more than dollars to generate your resource engine. So when I say resources, it is broadly defined. But when you think about that, when you think about what we must do, we first and foremost must continue to be and have to double down on being a highly effective network intermediary. Our partnership now with University of Chicago at Chapin Hall, their grant from the WT Grant Foundation will identify how research is used by child welfare agencies in the state of New York to make clinical and administrative decisions. They chose us because we are helping them to not only do that work, but then we will use that work to disseminate our findings and influence funders in understanding how important this capacity is for achieving better results. Recognizing that data analytics, and I truly believe this, data analytics is your next frontier. And we know we've got to equip you with your ability to take your data and make it sing. Make it give you the information that you need for decision making and future leaning. We have a partnership now with Mindshare Technology, and I am thrilled to death to talk about how we're going to partner with Mindshare Technology to unleash in this network the power of predictive analytics. We're going to start with a proven model that many of our Florida agencies here today use, created by Mindshare. And as a former child welfare director, when I saw this system run real time in Florida, it brought tears to my eyes, because this system, through using predictive analytics, can help you identify children at risk of serious harm and has proven to reduce child deaths in the child welfare system. We'll be working hard to get that program not just in Florida, but across this country, and helping you in the work that you do day in and day out. Our new work under contract with the state of Michigan, this is new work for us. I had a call from Director Maura Corrigan when I was Secretary in Washington State. Maura and I knew each other. She said, Susan, I need you. I need you to come in and facilitate a legislatively created task force to bring our public and private sectors together to create our performance-based funding contracting path going forward. I was like, wow, that's interesting, us contracting with the state government. So I called our board members, I asked them about it, I called our Michigan agencies, and they're like, of course. Who else would we want to have do it than the Alliance? Cam Hosner from the Judson Center, who is here, has agreed to co-chair that task force that we will now be leading over the next several months to help the state of Michigan create what will be their performance-based funding model in their child welfare system. This next slide, this next area that we know we've got to double down on is requiring us to create and drive knowledge. You are an incredible natural laboratory of knowledge and expertise that we use to create and drive knowledge every day. Funding from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Harvard Center for the Developing Child, and a very interesting growing relationship with the Norleen Foundation in Alberta, Canada, not only funded yesterday's pre-conference that we did on adverse childhood experiences, but it will be funding a 2-country cohort of nonprofits in America and NGOs in Canada who together are going to work to unleash the power of this growing neuroscience, the adverse childhood experiences science, and what we know about healthy development through a 2-generational view, and unleash through our networks a larger power beyond our programming, but into our advocacy and community leadership to drive larger systems change. I'm very excited about that work, because you know how passionate I have been for such a very long time about these advancing neurosciences and what we know about these advancing neurosciences as it relates to 2-generational work that we want to all be about. We're also in the process of modernizing our Severson Center. Severson Center has been a long-standing value in this network, but we've got to modernize it. We've got to move it into that 21st century. It has to be a more virtual, connected knowledge center to meet the needs of our membership more quickly and effectively. So we did a national search, and we found a powerhouse in Jean Casanova, our new knowledge director for the Severson Center. Jean is with us. I hope when you get the chance to see her, welcome her aboard, but she's going to do a great job for us. We're also just recently in the Chronicle of Philanthropy for our Strategy Counts site. Talk about creating and driving knowledge. Peter Goldberg would be so proud to see what we have done with Strategy Counts. This was his baby, this was his pride and joy, and I get the awesome honor of moving it forward. But through Strategy Counts, the wealth of knowledge that these Strategy Count sites are contributing to our field, not only are they contributing it through our network, now they're authors, and they have written a book. And that book will be released this December, and we are just delighted that book, called Making Strategy Counts, will move the work of this project forward into our larger society. We are a center. We are a center for innovation, research, and best practice replication. The best example I can give for you of that is Ways to Work. Our low-interest loan program for non-credit-worthy working parents, birthed here in Minneapolis years ago. This program now in 23 states across the country, folks, this isn't just a low-interest loan program for non-credit working people to get a car. This is an anti-poverty program with a 2-generational view that is not just helping people to come out and get a job and stay in a job. They're progressing in the workforce. Their children are in better quality child care. They are feeling more connected to their communities and more empowered, and they're experiencing success in their life, and they want more of it. Ways to Work is a best practice replication that we can't rest until it's to scale. And my goal is in any place in this country that has a child poverty rate over 20%, Ways to Work must be there. But we also knew we were on an unsustainable path. And I think it fits beautifully with how we need to be the center for innovation, research, best practice replication. In partnership with Accenture, one of our sponsors that's here, and thank you, Accenture, With them, what we did is we did this deep dive analysis of our Ways to Work program, its funding model, and realized it was too philanthropic dependent. It was too much of a philanthropic lift at the national level and at the local level, year in and year out. And using this work, we identified, using social enterprise principles, a new financing model for Ways to Work that we will be rolling out next year. Hopefully, as we are successful in getting the funding we know we're going to need to pull this off. But our ability to put Ways to Work to scale is a great example of how we took research, best practice, innovation to create a new financial model for that program so we can make sure that all children and families have access to a program that works. We also love to amplify the many case studies of best practices that you all do. And so oftentimes you're doing that not only in your work like we did earlier this year when we put out 2 major reports, Recipes for Rising Neighborhoods, and the report that we did on realizing permanency and well-being through authentic engagement in child welfare. But it's also your best practices in advocacy. And we must, and look at what's going on right now in Congress. Our voice is critical right now. The voices of those that we serve is critical right now. The voices of our boards, our donors, the millions of people in our communities that we have access to has never been more important. It's so important, I think, and I think you would agree with me, that at the end of the day, advocacy truly is our paramount responsibility, whether it's for an individual child, a family, a community, or a nation. This year, our policy office established one-on-one meetings between leaders in our network and members of Congress in advance of legislation on early education and got them involved early on what are these emerging discussions that are taking place on child welfare financing. We have created policy work groups across the health and human services continuum, continuing to help us hone our positions and strategy on effective public policy in D.C. and beyond, including a comprehensive toolkit that we shared with all of you this year to engage you in making sure that that August recess, your voices were in your members of Congress's offices, you were inviting them to see your facilities, and thank you, the number of you in our network that use those toolkits to help you engage your members of Congress and develop those relationships locally. That's where it has to happen. So we will continue to improve our radar function on policy, but here's where the passion hits the road for me. It doesn't work unless we know we are actually influencing public policy and making a difference. And I believe the one untapped thing that we have going on in our public policy work is unleashing the power of this network. Whether it is in the personal relationship that you have with a member of Congress, whether it's moving model legislation across the country, whether it's stopping terrible legislation from going any further across this country, or being able to unleash the millions of voices that this network represents, and to be in partnership with other national organizations in this work, we've got to double down on our advocacy commitment. I am thrilled. Marlo Nash came to us from Voices for America's Children. She is going to be our new Director of External Relations and Network Mobilization. I know she's going to do a fabulous job under the leadership of another new member of our team, Doug Diefenbach, our Senior Vice President of Marketing and Philanthropy. Marlo, welcome. Doug, thank you. But there's one more thing that we know we have to be doing, the commitments and these areas of focus that I've been laying out for you, but also our ability to collaborate widely and partner deeply. If the staff know one thing they're hearing from me anymore, it's like I don't want to talk about competition anymore. I want to talk about coming together. And so it's really time that some of our national organization partners that we might have historically viewed as competitors, we've got to figure out how to come together, because that's what you expect, that's what you need. And at the end of the day, we're nothing if we're not moving the needle for kids and families and communities. So unleashing this power of network and making sure that we're collaborating and partnering deeply has taken us into some whole new worlds of these last 2 years that we thought we'd go in. Partnerships with the American Public Human Services Association, partnerships with the Center for the Study of Social Policy, partnerships with Child Trends, the American Institutes for Research, a growing partnership with Bridgespan, and a new replication effort that we are now giving birth to with Encore to help people in our communities, older adults, to become Encore career individuals in our organizations across the country. And another way that we're unleashing this power of collaborating widely and partnering deeply is with our proven 32-year-old social enterprise, FEI Behavioral Health. FEI Behavioral Health, 32 years old, sends a lot of payments to our member agencies, but they send $1 million a year as a social enterprise to the Alliance. I know you send us a lot of dues, but folks, we could not provide you with the quality of membership experience we do if it was not for the revenues that we generate through the work of FEI Behavioral Health. FEI Behavioral Health is on your little key card, so you can't lose sight of it. I know they have a booth here as well. But examples of where FEI, now under the leadership of Ted Hewson, are getting into our network and creating unique partnerships with individual members of our network, like the one that they are doing with Families First in Atlanta, that is growing the EAP contracts in the Atlanta market in partnership between FEI and Families First. I know Ted's here, I know his team is here, and they stand ready to contract with you, they stand ready to partner with you, they stand ready to help innovate with you on revenue-producing ideas of how this power of network and the skill and capacities of FEI can help you further. So when I returned to this organization after serving as COO from 03 to 07, and having been secretary in Washington State, I saw how fast the world was changing. And I saw what was going to be incredible pressures and opportunities for this field and this sector. It became quite clear to me that we needed to be more nimble. We needed to be more strategically aligned in our governance structure to support the direction we must go. And as a united and stronger national organization, we knew that in these rapid changes that associations like ours are feeling, it was the time for change. With 5 separate organizations, 5 separate companies governed by 5 separate boards, we had become siloed. We had multiple mission statements, multiple strategic plans. We had 70 board members and 82 different board and committee meetings a year. We were not functioning as an enterprise steadfastly dedicated to one thing: a healthy society and strong communities for all children, adults, and families achieved through you. When you think about these companies, FEI Behavioral Health, it's not just about EAP and crisis management. We know how to create network, we know how to manage network, we know how to market network, we know how to negotiate contract on behalf of network. We are in a networked world. We've got a vast network through which to do this work even further than we've done it for the past 32 years. Ways to work. I don't just see a replication program. I see 16 years of experience at this organization that knows how to replicate model programs. Look at all the model programs sitting in this room today. But I also see a community development financial institution, a bank that we are running. We are one of 1,000 CDFIs in this country, and the only thing we're doing with it right now is ways to work lending. We are going to do more with our CDFI in this capital-constrained sector, to do more to help you to have capital that you need for innovation, for change, for capacity building, and for growing social enterprise. So this is the time for us to be thinking anew. You have 2 handouts on your table. One of them talks to you about our organizational structure. It gives you an example of how it is today. It gives you an example of how it's going to be in the future. It gives you a description of the direction that we're going and why. But you also have a handout that gives you a wonderful story of what has been the transformation of the Alliance and Families International over the last year and a half through the great work and leadership of John Schmidt, our Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer, who I could not do this work without. We too are thinking anew. So with the help of outside consultants with deep expertise, a task force with the majority of that task force being made up of members, an implementation task force now chaired by Alliance Board Chair Dennis Richardson, who is just nothing short of spectacular. Thank you, Dennis. You now see what will be our new structure. This past summer, I am so proud that the 5 boards approve unanimously that we develop an implementation plan to implement a significant reorganization within Families International in 2014. We will move to 1 board, which is a reconstituted and smaller and more focused integrated alliance board made up of selected member executives and volunteers as we have today. This will help us, I believe, to fuel that resource engine and think strategically about the many assets that we have that are currently sitting way too siloed in our organization. So, why are we here? We are here as a powerful network, and we are going to realize our dream through all of you. Thank you.